Baby Caterpillar was tired. All summer long she had been traveling slowly through the green world where she lived, and feeding on the green leaves that grew near her home. Now autumn had come, and Mother Nature had given a holiday to the leaves, who put on their new dresses of red and gold and played tag with the breezes. Baby Caterpillar wanted to play too, but could not run so fast as the happy little leaves, and she grew very tired and thought she would take a nap. So she found a cozy place among the branches of a grapevine and made herself a soft silky blanket. Then she rolled herself away within it. And then in the and then in her queer lit and then in her queer little cradle went to sleep. One night, late in the fall, Jack Frost came over the hill. He spied the cradle swinging to and fro, and began to play roughly with it, for he is a roguish little fellow and touches everything that comes in his way. But the warm blanket hid the little sleeper so that Jack could not find her. By and by, King Winter came, bringing beautiful snow blankets to Mother Nature's flower babies. He gently rocked the cradle as he passed and whispered, "Sleep, baby, sleep. You have no need of my blankets." At last spring came with the sunbeams, the best and merriest of Mother Nature helpers. They awoke the flowers from their long winter nap and called to the birds and the brooks to begin their songs. When they came to the little brown cradle, they stopped to rest, and baby caterpillar began to get very warm under the thick blanket. She woke up and stretched herself, and her cradle broke, and she came out to greet the spring. But what a change! Instead of the old dingy dress that she went to sleep in, she now had a beautiful yellow one, and instead of crawling among the leaves, she flew up and away into the sweet spring air to play with the sunbeams and flowers, and the little children called her a butterfly. So, Meg, you are talking about being in the military, and you said you were a medic. Can you explain what it is? Yeah, so a medic, which now I believe is called healthcare specialist, is I always say it's kind of similar to being like a paramedic, where it's not a full nurse job. I think nurses have more training, like in civilian side nurses, but similar to paramedic, where you have certain like minor procedures that you are trained to do and high level things than just an EIMT, like doing IVs and giving shots and stitches and things like that. And you're trained because it's the military. You're especially trained for emergency situation and how to treat someone who has maybe some serious life threatening wounds. So that's a medic. Wow, that sounds like a really difficult job. I mean, it's not your typical just soldier job. You must have had a lot of schooling and education. I had. Well, everyone goes through the initial about 2.5 months like basic training, and that's more kind of basic combat skill and physical training, that kind of thing. And then I had 4 months past that to train to be a medic. So we went through like emergency medical technician course, just like civilian side. I got certified with that, and then we had additional training for the military skills like IVs and emergency procedures, that kind of thing. Right, can you explain what IV is? IV is an intravenous like getting fluids into your body. So if you've been injured and you've lost a lot of blood, or maybe you or maybe you're dehydrated and you need some fluid in your body quickly, then we stick a needle into your vein, and then the fluids go in, and the needle comes back out but the little tube stays in, and then you can get fluids quickly that way. So anybody that's been to the doctor knows that's always kind of the anxious moment when the nurse or the person who's going to stick the needle in. Were you good at doing that? So once I learned how to do it, I think I was pretty good, and I actually enjoy doing it. Not in a creepy way, but it was, I guess, because I was decent at it, that it was a part of my job that I enjoyed. But for myself, before we went through that training, I always I actually became I actually became dehydrated and needed to get an IV myself. And I was terrified because I really hadn't had that before in my life. And so the nurse was going to come, put the needle in my arm, and I was like, "No, isn't there another? I'll just drink a lot of water." And she was saying, "Aren't you going to be a medic?" And I was like, "Oh, I haven't trained yet, don't do it." So yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I was recently in the hospital, and they had me strip up for both blood and for the water, the intravenous. drip, and it's annoying because you can't really move. Like if you want to get up and walk anywhere, you strap with all this tube, and it's not very convenient. Yeah, yeah, or at least you have to careful. When I was getting the IV, I didn't know that the needle doesn't stay in your arm. Now, for some things, it does. For blood, maybe it's different. I'm not sure, but yeah. So I was trying to be so careful too, but you still want it to go well, so you don't want to move very much. Right. So, what percentage of people would you say freak out when they get a needle? Probably 90 or 95%. Or really? Yeah, even tough army guys would come in and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm fine in a bit." Well, we need to give you an IV, and they'd be like, "Oh, right, yeah, nobody likes that." No. So you transition, you were in the medical profession and then you move to education. Why did you leave the medical profession for education? Yeah, that's interesting because I became a medic in the military because I thought after when I could continue college that I would be a nurse or doctor, but my time serving as a medic helped me learn that that was not what I wanted to do for my career after all. So I definitely am glad that I had those skills and the things that I learned and was able to experience. But I had English had kind of been on the back burner. And so then I said, okay, let me revisit this, and it led to English education. Wow, have you ever thought about being like an English specialist for people in the medical fields, like teaching doctors and nurses? I guess I haven't thought about that specifically. Sometimes I thought about going back to military. They do have something like English schools in the military, and so I guess they would be related. Also, it could be, yeah, so that would be interesting, something to think about. Question number one: what kind of home would he want to have? He wants a medium to large size house, not a huge mansion. What's more important to him is having land, so the house isn't too close to neighbors. He wants some space around his house. Question number two: what would he like to live near? He wants to live in a place like Alabama, where he grew up. He likes the landscape there with hills, lots of trees, especially pine trees, and lakes or some water nearby. He also talks about what he wants for his yard. He wants it to be green and taken care of, but not too perfect. He doesn't want it to be overly manicured, have too much pruning, but also not completely wild. He says he likes it a little bit chaotic. Question number three: what do they talk about? They talk about Mark's dream house. The interviewer asks him questions about what kind of house he wants, the art, the decoration, and the features he like about the dream home. Question number four: what does he want in his ideal house? In his ideal house, Mark wants big bathrooms and a big kitchen. He said, the bigger the better. He also wants a two-car garage. For the decoration, if he married, he said his wife can decorate most of the house, but he wants one room just for himself. In that room, he would like to have a small library, lots of books, maybe a pool table, and he wants to decorate it the way he likes. Question number five: retell that conversation with your own words, giving the detailed information. In the conversation, Mark says he doesn't want a giant mansion, just a nice medium or large house. What matters more to him is having some land, so he has space and isn't too close to neighbors. He likes nature, especially the kind of environment in Alabama with trees, hills, and lakes. For his yard, he wants it to be green and taken care of, but not too perfect or super tidy. Inside the house, he wants big bathrooms and a big kitchen and a garage for two cars. He also wants one special room just for himself, a place where he can have books, maybe a pool table, and decorate the way he likes.